get the plant out of it, bring it into the next
So my name is Pujan Mehta, and my alias is FNS, and I'm the in-game leader for Envy. I wasn't born in Toronto. I was born in Africa, in a place called Tanzania, and my parents were born and raised there as well, and they were living a good life, as weird as that sounds, in Africa. Like, they were living a really good life, and then they moved all the way here, and then they built a whole new, better life for themselves and for us, you know? Immigrant parents have to do that, and I think that's insane. I can't ever imagine being put in their shoes and then doing what they've been capable of doing. I was too young to actually remember most of it, so I just remember most of how Canada was like, you know, as opposed to over there. I have an older brother, and my brother was probably also another big inspiration for why I started gaming in the first place, because he would play FIFA with me and stuff like that, or like other sports games. And usually we would only play sports games and then sometimes first-person shooters, but nothing crazy. We had a good relationship growing up, and I had a good relationship with my family as well growing up. But I wasn't like an addicted gamer or anything like that. I kind of just played for fun until only Counter-Strike came out. I'm now 28 years old, to put into perspective. So this was such a long time ago. I started playing Counter-Strike 1.6. I got really addicted really fast, started putting more time online than, you know, with my friends outside, which is a huge thing because I loved hanging out with my friends and all that stuff, but Counter-Strike, you know, trumped all that. I think everybody has a sense, like it has a competitive nature, but for me, I felt I just loved competing and playing sports and stuff like that. I did it all throughout high school, all throughout college, so for me, soccer was my main thing. I started getting a lot of shin splints, which led to injuries, and then I couldn't really play anymore. So I found like another sport, like something that I can compete in, which was Counter-Strike, and kind of put all my time into that, and then eventually it turned into a career.
This is our first land. I won't be able to predict anything. I don't know how we're going to do to begin with, so I mean, we're just going to have to see how it goes.
Once I graduated, we made a team, and that was an amazing time for me, because I didn't really think I would get paid to play. That was not at all like a goal at all of mine. I never even thought it would be a possibility at all. It was just one of those things where we just played for fun and we loved competing. Started beating some good teams in North America who had organizations, and then CLG contacted us and said, hey, like, we're interested, you know, if you want to join. I talked it over with my team, and yeah, we signed our first contract, and that was when the reality set in that this could be my career for the next 2 to 3 years. I barely even looked over it. I just signed it. That's how excited I was. You know what I mean? I would never do that now. Nor would I recommend anyone, you know, do that. It's like you want to read over your contract and all that stuff. But I was so excited at the time. All I knew was I was making money playing video games.
Well, from my perspective, you guys are definitely a team to look out for. Thank you very much, FNS.
They do have a kit, but they have a lack of nades at this stage, and there's a Molotov in the hands of FNS. This could be all they require. It's going to fire onto the site. There's no smoke to extinguish it either. FNS may have just won the round. They're going to have to push him. There's one, and FNS is going to be taking this one down in style in the end. One Molotov was all that was required. JW. That you can see the devil dance on idle hands.
So we put in... Switching to Valorant was definitely a massive step for me. As I said, I've been playing Counter-Strike for almost half my life now. It was almost like letting go of something I've been doing for such a long time, and I feel like if anyone did that with anything in their career, did something for 14, 13 years of their life, and then had to move on to something else, it would be really hard. So naturally for me, it was pretty hard to move on. But when I started playing Valorant, as soon as somebody told me there's abilities and stuff like that in the game, I don't play games like League of Legends or Dota, so for me, I had no interest in switching the game right away. But once I realized what the abilities were, how they were used, all the possibilities that you have in Valorant that you didn't have in CS or still don't have in CS, it made CS feel bland for me. When I started playing Valorant, and then I'd go back to playing CS real quick, like just deathmatch or go play a PUG or FPL or something, CS felt worse, and that was a weird, really weird feeling for me, because no game had ever taken my attention away like Counter-Strike had until Valorant came out. And then in Valorant, I kind of started going into a server and like looking at how can I do this, or how can I make these two agents work together, or can this composition work on this map, or you know what I mean? Just there's a lot of stuff to think about, a lot of possibilities, and that's where I feel like I shine as far as like critical thinking goes. Is I love doing that type of work. I love doing the analysis work, Valorant allowed me a good base for that, and that's what made me like hooked on the game. For me, I was just like, look, I don't even know if I'm good at this game, so I'm just gonna play with people that I see playing constantly. And Akis is somebody that I knew for a long time now, and you know, I messaged him and I'm like, hey, like if you guys are playing, like I'm down to play. And so we started playing these smaller tournaments. It was me, Calypso, Akis, and Dapper, and then Mame. And Akis was packaged with Mame, and I was packaged with Calypso. We ended up winning a few tournaments along the way, like the smaller tournaments, and then that's where I kind of started to fall in love with the game. So I was like, man, like I want to take this more seriously. Let's just make this into a team. We teamed up, and then we were like, okay, well, we obviously need a fifth now. We added Caboose, and then that was the end of it. Once we started putting more server time in, our improvement was like insanely drastic.
There's people there. Gotta be careful though. Tens can be so dangerous with that, even though the rest of his team doesn't have much, but it's Arena League.
And then when we started entering tier 1 events, we always made it out of groups. Like we were never in a situation where we didn't make it out of groups. That's when orgs started reaching out to us, and then that's where we ended up with Envy. I was immediately hooked on how Hastro handled himself as like a human being and as a CEO and like all that stuff. Like he did, just the way he spoke, it didn't feel like I was talking to somebody like super in like some professional like official manner, you know what I mean? And that was a huge thing for me. It made me feel like I was talking to just a normal regular human being. And we talked to other orgs as well, but Envy was like the clear choice because we had spoken to Hastro, I spoken to Tailspin. One thing led to another. We got our contracts. They were the most keen on signing us, and they like went above and beyond to sign us, you know? So when an org does that, you kind of take a step back and be like, hey, like these guys really want us, right? My leader side kicked in a sense that like, you know, this is an official thing now. This isn't like, we're not just playing in small tournaments anymore. And then when it came to big tournaments, we have to be all in, you know what I mean? There's no anything like that. The expectations are extremely high. We're not trying to make quarterfinals and then lose, you know what I mean?
Find a figure. It's gonna be Finesse. Gets there close range. Oh goodness, 2 on the round.
And then luckily for me, the team was all completely on board with that. You know, all 5 players were just like, yeah, like that's exactly what we want. We want to win.
Everyone just needs to stay alive here. If he can get a trade, that's great. He was able to get one, gets taken out.
And I kind of noticed that right away, considering how well we started performing. This last tournament, we ended up 2nd place, and nobody even expected us. Like everyone put us at like 7th or 8th, and there was only 8 teams. Nobody expected us to play well, and we literally just shattered everybody's expectations. And then that's when I think, for me, I kind of realized, okay, like we have a good team here. You know, we have a team that can actually compete with the best. Now that that's expected of us, I think we have to kind of just achieve that, you know, in order to feel any sort of satisfaction.